No Japanese info by Japanese people. Damn, count on me! Hey there, I'm Naoto. Today's episode concerns Oda Nobunaga, the one of the greatest samurais ever in Japanese history. Speaking of samurai history, it's imperative to talk about him. In general, there are three samurais who played absolutely significant role in terms of Japanese history during the Middle Ages. They are Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. For the overview about them, please refer to my previous video. This episode is about Oda Nobunaga exclusively. Today, I'm gonna pick up the three great things he did, how he changed Japan. First of all, and above all, his contribution for the unification of Japan is highly important. In the Middle Ages of Japan, around 16th century, there were numerous samurais who were struggling to survive amid bloody samurai war period. Nobunaga was actually the one of them. At the age of 19, he became the head of Oda clan and became in charge of Owari province, which is today's northern part of Aichi prefecture. In the beginning, Oda clan was so to say just the one of the clans in samurai war period. However, after the Battle of Okehazama, where he defeated Imagawa clan that had 10 times more military force than Oda clan, Nobunaga increased his power with great momentum. In coordination with capable retainers, including Toyotomi Hideyoshi, he expanded Oda's territory rapidly, and finally he reached Kyoto, the capital of the time. At that time, there was a government called Muromachi Shogunate, which is, so to speak, the government by samurai beside emperor family. Muromachi Shogunate was led by Ashikaga Yoshiaki, the 15th general of the shogunate. Actually, Yoshiaki had a problem about the succession of shogunate before he became the general. After some twists and turns, Yoshiaki encountered Oda Nobunaga, and Yoshiaki decided to ask Nobunaga for help. Thus, in partnership with Nobunaga, Yoshiaki could take office as the 15th top general of the shogunate. Nobunaga and Yoshiaki were in a good relationship, at least for a while, but it didn't last for a long time. In the end, Yoshiaki wound up with being exiled from Kyoto. Thus, Muromachi Shogunate fell apart by this incident. Meanwhile, Oda Nobunaga continued to invade others, and he started to invade western area of Japan. But only all of a sudden, Nobunaga was assassinated by one of his top retainers, Akechi Mitsuhide. And this incident is known as Honnoji incident. In any case, the way to the unification of Japan was proceeded so much thanks to Oda Nobunaga, and after his death, Toyotomi Hideyoshi took over Nobunaga's ambition. Without Nobunaga, Japan could not be unified, and domestic conflict could last much longer. There are said to be 25,000 castles in the past, and this number clearly shows how much weight samurai put on castles. Meanwhile, the castle per se transformed itself as time goes by. Anyway, actually, Nobunaga changed the way of castles fundamentally. He built Azuchi Castle, which was really innovative and became the paragon of the castles among samurais. One of the remarkable traits of Azuchi Castle is castle's tower, which is called Tenshu. Tenshu is really an iconic object, and in fact, we are so prone to picture Tenshu when it comes to castle. Before the emergence of Azuchi Castle, samurai built castles simply on military purposes because that was a kind of military basement. On the other hand, Nobunaga added one more purpose, that is, to show one's power. In fact, the Tenshu of Azuchi Castle was said to be astonishingly splendid, although it was burned away amid samurai war period. Besides, Azuchi Castle was unprecedentedly equipped with three components altogether, namely stone walls, kawara, and building. Fair enough, those were not invented by Nobunaga himself. They have been already used at some castles individually. Still, what Nobunaga did is to combine those three elements all together at the same time. And that was so much innovative. This kind of castle, which we call shokuho type castle, had a huge influence on castles later on. In other words, the typical castle which we tend to imagine today was affected by Nobunaga so much. He was curious enough to try new things and willing to hear from foreigners. Actually, he recruited a foreigner as a servant whose name is Yasuke. It is said Yasuke came from the southern part of Africa, which is around today's Mozambique. Likewise, he seemed to have no hesitation about unconventional things, including foreign culture. On top of that, he was very open-minded and could think outside the box. There is one interesting episode which is as follows. One day, some missionaries from Portugal had an audience with Nobunaga. The missionaries, such as Louis Royce and Francis Xavier, wanted to be close to the influential samurais in order to preach Christianity more widely. So the audience with Nobunaga was a great chance for them to have more influence in Japan. That's why they brought many unique things from Portugal, one of which was a globe. At that time, the ordinary people thought that the world has a shape of flattened square. It is natural that people could hardly understand what a globe signifies. In contrast, Nobunaga could understand that the world is round soon after the explanation by the missionaries. Besides, some stuff which we see in daily life today is said to be dedicated to Nobunaga initially. For instance, banana, the candy, which we call konpeito, and wine. Also, Nobunaga proactively adopted the use of guns in battle. In 1543, the guns were introduced to Japan by adrift Portuguese. Until then, samurai only had a kind of short-range weapons, represented by katana. Nobunaga took a great interest in utilizing guns in battle. The Battle of Nagashino is a very well-known battle where Nobunaga utilized guns effectively. He introduced lots of guns and defeated Takeda clan that was renowned for its power. After this battle, the efficacy of guns was widely recognized, and samurai became much eager to have guns. Like this, Nobunaga was very open-minded and could think flexibly. Actually, from the historical standpoint, the 16th century was the first time for Japan to know European culture. Granted, we had been influenced by China from ancient time, but the European culture was shockingly unfamiliar to the people at that time. For better or worse, Japan came to be affected by the outside of Japan. And one of the reasons behind it could be the curiosity of Oda Nobunaga. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and see you next time on the Japanalyst. ありがとうございました。